The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. What a great show we have today. I'm super excited, as always, but maybe in a way a little extra excited today as we have tremendous individuals on the show, real estate professionals, supreme, awesome, and some surprising things along the way. Again, show number 562. So feel free to check out the YouTube video that we make of the show by going to stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio, or go to the YouTube channel called Radio Bill. I think you'll find it that way as well. So let's get down to business as we welcome our first guest. She is Christy Baleres, right here with Keller Williams Metropolitan. Christy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, here you are. And by the way, Keller Williams Metropolitan is a stone's throw right away from our station here.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So you're doing tremendous work there, we hear, Christy. Let's tell people about your brokerage, Keller Williams Metropolitan.
Okay. It recently just moved from our iconic 50/50 Westheimer right over here to San Felipe. There's about 600 agents there in the brokerage, and I have been with that office for since 2019.
Wow, that's a while.
Yes.
And when did you actually move? Just recently?
Recently, yes. We thought we would be there in December, but you know how real estate goes sometimes.
There's always surprises.
Yeah, there's always surprises. So it took us until about March to move in.
Well, you're a super real estate professional, and let's tell people some of the things, as you've been in the business a while now, what are the things that you think you're doing that are proven that make you so successful and still very excited about the profession?
So I think I've been in the real estate industry about 13 years and had the amazing blessing of serving about 600 families throughout my career. And, you know, some of the things that I do is I never look at two deals the same, because the second you do look at two deals the same, you know, that won't happen. And also, I think I have inherently figured out that every single client needs a different version of a realtor from the next. And so it's really our job to morph and just show up to that client however they expect a realtor to be. You know, we get prefaced by things like HGTV and Selling Sunset, and they think that a realtor is going to behave or do or act a certain way. And the thing of it is, we have to almost step up to that and be whoever that person is. So I think that that's where I find a lot of peace in real estate, is I'm able to just kind of step in and be whoever they need me to be.
It's interesting, the different TV shows out there. It just gives people not the right impression of real estate, because I think it makes it look too easy. Among other things.
Oh, that is for sure. A lot of people, well, we saw it, you know, after COVID, when everybody came in and got their real estate license as they were sitting around at home. They thought it was a get-rich-quick scheme. And I think the last year of real estate has proven that's not the case.
Well, I hear one of the things that you do in a very special way is you pay attention to details.
Yes.
What is it about the details that help you navigate for your buyers and sellers the real estate transaction?
The thing is the details are what's important to the buyers and sellers. And so, you know, as they're going through the process, number one, they're lost. They don't do this every day. And so they rely on us for those details. And I think that's what separates the good realtors from the great realtors, is the opportunity to walk in, and as a buyer is falling in love with a home, I'm helping them come back down to earth a little bit. As a seller is excited about selling their home, seeing the things that really stuck out for them, why they've loved their home, and being able to showcase that. The details are what's important to the clients.
And as far as social media, I understand also you have some special moves in the social media world.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, I'm going to give you a secret. My kind of tail line, or whatever you want to call it, is realtors are magicians behind a camera. And so I can take just about any home that looks any way, smells any way, anything like that, and present it to the public. Because my opinion is our buyers out there are making decisions on listings from sitting at their computer, sitting on their iPhone or their iPad. They're not making decisions on homes the second they walk in the door. It's long before that. So we spend a lot of time in the groundwork of getting listings up and on the market. Sometimes that includes digital staging of vacant homes. Sometimes it includes some digital staging and enhancement of even occupied homes. And so I just look at every single home, whether it's $1 million home or a $250,000 home, they deserve the same magazine quality everybody else does.
We're talking with Christy Baleres with Keller Williams Metropolitan. And Christy, as far as the market right now, geographically, if someone wants to reach out to you or something, give us an idea where you work the most geographically here in the Houston area.
So I am a total enigma of where I work. So my office is on San Felipe. I have a physical office in Friendswood. I work Brazoria County, Harris County, Galveston County, Fort Bend County, but I also do farm and ranch all the way up to Dallas. Our family has some acreage going up north towards Limestone County, and so I will go north and go do any of that.
Covering a pretty wide range. That makes it extra exciting. And also, speaking of extra excitement, let's tell people who you brought with you today. Who is Kaylee Wyatt?
I am so excited. Kaylee Wyatt is my oldest daughter. She received her real estate license. She worked hard for a real estate license while she was a senior in high school, and I brought her along with me today. She's on my team, and she's with Keller Williams as well.
Kaylee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's good to see you. So here you are. You followed in your mom's footsteps, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You have a real estate license. Give us an idea, other than maybe the family connection, but what motivated you to say, hey, I'm going to get involved in real estate?
What motivated me to be involved in real estate? So I got my real estate license and decided to follow my mom's footsteps and hopefully be as successful as she is.
Well, of course, it takes time, but I think certainly getting ahead, you have a great teacher, and that is a shortcut, so to speak, as long as I guess you're paying attention and doing the systems and procedures that Mom and the others in the real estate profession.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, what are some of the other things that are going on in your world, Kaylee?
So I am still a college student at San Jack Community College, and right now I am trying out for the Houston Texan Cheerleaders.
So you have a lot of fun things, yes, I think, going on and making life very interesting for you.
Yes, I am. Busy's a blessing.
There's no doubt about it. And meanwhile, Mom, Christy, what are some of the other things we should know about what's going on in the Houston market? I think it's pretty active right now, right?
It is active. You know, to me, real estate is on the street level. It is not, we can't look at Houston as a whole because it changes in every single little submarket. But I think for the most part, the majority of those have picked up. You know, sellers can expect to sit a little bit longer. Buyers can expect that they still have to be aggressive. And I think there's more of a marrying of deals. You know, kind of the way I look at it is buyers still want to buy homes and sellers still want to sell homes. So it's our job to broker and get in there and make it happen like we've never had to make it happen before.
Well, and not only that, sellers sometimes have to buy or have to sell, and same thing with buyers because life events dictate so much in terms of the marketplace.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we always have to be conscious of those life events as well because the sellers still expect us to get the most and not allow their home to go for pennies. And, you know, especially for a buyer and a seller that are doing both, you know, selling and purchasing at the same time, it's hard for them to transition back and forth between, well, I want the most for my money and I don't want to pay as much for this house. So keeping kind of their sanity and marrying all that together is an art form for every realtor that's out there.
Indeed. They have to have the right real estate professional.
Absolutely.
Like Christy
Absolutely.
Baleres and even Kaylee Wyatt,
That's right.
Let's do a quick word about the transition because I haven't bought or sold a home for a while, and I bet people listening are in the same position. Mm-hmm. But someday we will sell our homes. time to buy a new home and all that. But the transition part, as you're saying, I'm going to sell my home or someone's going to sell their home. And first of all, just the moving is a massive thing to comprehend and all the clutter and so forth. But how do I know when is it, if I can't afford two homes, how do I make that, how do you work people through the transition? Because when am I going to buy the next home? Do I have to wait till all that stuff? That part to me is tricky.
So I always walk people through the conversation of we begin with the end of mind. Where are you going? How do we get there? Because once they've made the decision to sell their home, that's it. Like we're leaving that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We've got to figure out where you're going. So I really like to begin with the end in mind and then walk them backwards on how to hit that goal. And it really, I go into it with a very different approach of leading with finances and having them connect. If they're straight, cash buyers coming out of it, how do we get to that point? Are there monies that need to be moved around? If it's lending involved, we start with the lender and then we work backwards. I'm confident in every home that I go in and sell that I'm going to sell the house. I'm going to sell it for top dollar, and we're not going to negotiate a whole lot on that side. So really, if we begin in the end in mind and keep their eye on the prize, it keeps the seller or the client, the buyer as well, from getting bogged down, letting me take on the details, getting bogged down in the emotions, and we are able to coast right through it.
Sounds good to me. Christy, before we close the segment, what else you want people to know?
What else do I want people to know? I am also a real estate coach. I've had the amazing blessing of coaching over 400 agents in my career. I keep I know it's a lot. I keep a very small roster of realtors now, and I love it. And I coach of all brokerages. It's not just Keller Williams. I don't coach under that brokerage, but everybody. My coaching program is called Limitless. I'm also an investor, and I'm a cash investor, and I'm hungry for deals. And so I do everything real estate has to offer.
You are in the real estate world in a big way.
Yes.
So if someone works for another broker and they think, I need a little bit of help, I'm in a slump or whatever else, you're there to help them no matter who it is.
That's right.
And let's tell people how they can reach you.
Easy. So my website is just my name, ChristyBaleras.com. And my phone number is 281-685-5000. 281-685-5000. And obviously social media as well.
You're on social media. And Kaylee, a final word. What else do you want people to know?
I'm ready for business.
You're ready for business, and let us know if you're going to be on with the Texans, all right?
I hope so. Yes, I will.
All right. Thanks for being with us.
Thank
you, Christy.
Thank you.
As we continue, let's talk to Sahar Khatib. She is with Keller Williams Southwest. Sahar, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to see you. And you have so many interesting things to talk about, but let's start in the real estate world. You are with Keller Williams, and let's tell people geographically where you're doing most of your work.
So most of my business, I do it all over the Houston area, and the reason why I help a lot of people relocate from Houston to other states. So most of my business come from other agents across the country. That way, I cover Montgomery, I cover Harris, I cover Fort Bend, I cover Brazoria, anywhere from Montgomery or Conroe all the way to Galveston.
And one of the things, as we talked about before the show, you talked about limitations, that someone would come to you and say, oh, well, I can't do this because of this limitation or that limitation. Let's do a word about, from a motivational standpoint, some of your mindset that you've used to be very successful in real estate. In fact, let's tell people, like last year you sold how many homes?
78 deals by myself.
78 homes, and then
sellers and buyers, 78. So 52 was buyers and 26 were sellers, and I've not shown a single home.
Okay, and we'll get to that. That's kind of a unique approach in your systems and procedures. But when someone says, hey, I can't do it, or the things that helped you be successful in real estate, give us a motivational word on that.
Yeah, so I always thought every limitation or every bump in life, every, time that I get into something like that, I used to be an engineer. That means I have to think outside the box and find a solution. So that is the one thing that people come to me, and even Gary Keller asked me to be on stage with him last year, is how did I accomplish that? With being a single mom and 3 kids, one of the hardest things that when I got into real estate is how I'm going to be able to serve the amount of clients that I'm getting from out of state without, sacrificing. The reason I got into real estate is being there for my kids. So when I started having more clientele and I want to help everybody, I started thinking, how can I serve these people? What's the important thing for them is for me to negotiate, get them the house. They don't need me really to open a door for them. So I started leveraging. And the way, over the years, over the past 5 years since COVID, that became, a problem, and I found a solution. Everybody comes, how do you do that? I'm like, you know what? Don't let anything limit you. Find what's important for you in the business or in life, and then work around it. Find a solution that fits you. The solution that fits my family might not be a solution that fits somebody else's family. So everybody has their own structure of important and priorities, and mine are clear to me from day one. My kids are a priority and my business is a priority. So how I'm going to manage both is by leveraging through people. And as we know, this business, nobody wins alone.
And you said, as we know, Keller Williams, they're great on training, and they're also tremendous with systems and procedures. Before we started recording, you said that as you were with Keller Williams, they actually came to you and said, hey, that's not how we do it here. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not sure exactly.
They frowned upon it.
They're like, hey, that's not the procedure. But then what happened after that?
So I used, of course, to go to the office as a newer agent and, do whatever they tell me. And when that did not work for me and I started thinking outside the box as an engineer background, they frowned upon. So I moved kind of all my business, running my business from home, from my home office, and, started doing the work that really fits my standards, my values, and what's important for me. And fast forward a few years later, everybody now asks me about the procedures or like the systems that I've created so they can apply them. And now I start teaching about it.
So then when you talked to Gary Keller, what were some of the other things that you shared with Gary, I guess in front of of a group from a teaching mode?
Yeah, so the one thing that blew his mind, I'm among the top 100 agents in the US, the solo agents. So he interviewed me and he's like, he saw where I'm working on Zoom and he saw my kids working around. And it blows his mind, hey, Sahar, we've always seen you on the phone. I work kind of from home, and everything else I leveraged to the outside, real estate agents. So it kind of blew his mind with the profit that I keep on a low. So I bring newer agents, train them, give them leads out of my listings, give them, rentals. They help me, I help them grow. So I'm giving back to those agents in other ways. So the way I think about it when I was in an internship in software engineering, I didn't make money. It was for free, but I used to learn. So I bring that opportunity and I coach newer agents. So they love to work with me. So he loved the idea how I thought outside the box. And I brought a new system to help myself and others grow their business.
So that's another element, software engineering. But go back to one of the things in the world of sales, and I've been in sales a long time, and I hear people not just in real estate, but in other sales professions where they say, oh, man, I just work with this person, and they're an engineer, like as if engineers are more difficult to work with in a sales situation. But here you are, you're the salesperson, and you're the engineer.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different
But
thing.
it works to people's advantage. They love it because if you think about engineer, we have another person here that's an engineer. We are problem solvers. Right. It doesn't matter which background you are thinking outside the box. And in real estate, as we know, there is a lot of bumps in every transaction. So if your mindset is all about problem solving, nothing is hard to do.
And of course, it's said that each real estate, because it's a fact, each real estate transaction is different
and unique.
Different people. It's one person. It's several people. So you have to be adaptable, nimble to handle these.
To maneuver, yes. And another thing that works to our advantage or my personal advantage, living as we discussed previously, is living on 3 different continents before in my life. So it's very easy for me to connect with people. When you connect, usually when I'm working with clients, the most important thing is to connect to their level, find trust. So when people trust you, they will go with you anywhere you take them. So that connection is the most important thing. That's why I don't have to be on the road with them. They trust whatever advice I've given them.
3 continents. You were born?
In West Africa, and that's Monrovia, Liberia. And I grew up until I was a teenager. I moved to Lebanon, and then I came here when I was 21 years old. 24 years ago.
3 continents.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell my son and anyone else that'll listen. One of the great things as we grow up in terms of education, other than school credentials and so forth,
Exposure.
travel, even if it's within the United States, because even in the United States, from one county to the next, one state to the next, it's a whole different culture. And we learn the things that are common that help us. And like you're saying, in all these different 3 continents, there's certain things that help you connect with each and every culture, each person.
Yes, and it widens your horizon, so you're not thinking only in one way. You start thinking in different ways, because we all people are kind of have common human needs, but we all think differently to accomplish or to reach them. So when you live and interact and experience different cultures, it's very easy for you to connect with differences between you and the people that you're working with.
It's like someone goes from Houston to Louisiana, whole different culture. Houston, New York City,
100.
California. But it makes life fascinating. That's why in your off time you like to do
travel. That's all I can do.
How did I know that?
Every time I have, no kids or slow down at work. I mean, not even slow down. I'm leaving the country, as we discussed, for 6 weeks in the summer. Every time I have an opportunity to travel, I'm not missing that opportunity. That's the wealth I'm building for myself and for my family.
We're talking with Sahar Khatib with Keller Williams Southwest. Well, Sahar, so you like to travel, but in the real estate world, how do you see, as we are, almost June, what do you see ahead for real estate?
I think real estate is like any other profession or any other, there is a life cycle in real estate. There's always ups and downs, and the way you ride those cycles, it's what puts you ahead of others. You just have to be able to adapt with the cycles of real estate and don't push on it, ride with it. It's like a wave.
And let's go back to the kind of where we started. When we talk about any profession, real estate, there are challenges in life. I don't care what we're doing. But when you were in the thick of raising 3 kids when they were younger and trying to be, just starting in real estate, how did you say, oh man, this is a challenge. I didn't know it was going to be this hard. How did you get through those challenges? What was the mindset?
The mindset is failure is not an option. That's my first mindset in anything I do in life. So if it means that one kid is sick, I'm finding a solution. If it means that I have to go to an appointment and take my little daughter with me because she's home, I'm taking her. We are in a family business, so people will appreciate better than canceling on people. So I've always been committed to the results, and anything that comes in the way, I don't let it stand in my way.
That's the first time I think it's obvious, but that's the first time I think someone reminded us that real estate's a family business.
100%.
100%, no doubt about it. Well, Sahar, before we close this segment, what else do you want people to know?
I think people should just, getting into real estate, we talked about this at the beginning. Don't let any limitations, anybody that tells you, hey, you can't do this, do what feels right for you in the heart, and everything else is going to fall in place. I just believe that we as moms, I'm going to speak as a mom, we get a lot of challenges through life, and we think those challenges are going to stop us from accomplishing our goals. And it's on the contrary. These challenges should fuel you to reach your goals.
And it should be said, this show is airing on Mother's Day, by the way, and interesting how that all works out. Sahar, let's tell people how they can reach you.
It's very simple. My phone number is 832-630-5020. Feel free to call me or text me anytime. So my phone number is 832-630-5020. 832-630-5020.
Sahar, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
Let's talk to Kiani Komezi. Her company is called Kiani Realty. Kiani, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, here you are once again, Kiani, and we'll tell people it seems like only yesterday.
I know.
You've been on the show several times, but you were on, I guess it's not that long ago, where you were talking about being a broker.
I know.
And starting Kiani Realty, and here you are.
I totally agree with you. Time flies by. And we were here, I guess, 5.5 years ago. And we were talking about, I'm planning to open my own brokerage. And you have no idea, so many people were telling me, don't do it. And 5.5 years passed, and I love it.
Well, and that's right, and why were they saying not to do it? Because it's more work, you're handling other agents, and now you have people issues.
For sure, it's more work, and somehow you feel like a specific agent is going to be the best agent, and then all of a sudden it's one of the worst one. Or sometimes you feel like you are hiking with a backpack full of rocks, and you're like, oh my God, is this going to be the good one? Or, you never know for sure. You keep training everyone the best way possible and hoping to get the best results out of all of them.
Well, that's interesting. From a sales manager standpoint, when someone comes on board, you're right. You don't know that this person could say, oh, I think I got to have a superstar.
Exactly.
And it turns out no deal. So that's what's fascinating about people.
Yeah.
Let's tell people geographically where your company does most of its work or where you're doing most of your work.
So I have a news for you, Bill, that Kiani Realty is in Houston, Austin, and Dallas. But
wow.
I know. So we opened our Dallas firm, I want to say 3-4 months ago. But Austin, couple years. And I do have amazing agents over there as well. We have 40 plus agents in Houston. So we are literally everywhere.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, in such a short period of time.
It looks short to you. It was 5.5.
Me, it was real short, yeah. But still, 5 years is not that long, I don't think. But that's a great thing. And I'm going to imagine that if someone's out there listening now and they say, well, I want to learn more about Kiani Realty, maybe they're at another broker, you would entertain that, I would think.
For sure. I've said no to some agents. I'm not going to lie. Just because I feel like our brokerage is such a nice boutique brokerage that we feel like we are in the same family. No drama, no stealing from each other. The competition is there. But I managed it to be really in a very friendly family zone. And if I feel like one agent is going to bring drama, I'm going to, no matter how much money they're going to make from me, I'm going to ask them to leave the firm. But beside that, I always interview, and I like them to interview me to see if we click. And then the training is going to start, and I make sure that they rock.
So, and let's say someone, and this may happen, someone calls you from another state and they're thinking about Houston, and they say, well, we've heard about Houston, we've been there a couple times, we're thinking about moving, and they want your impression of why it's a good idea to move and live right here in Houston and maybe in this area, this uptown area.
Yeah, you asked such a great question because I love Houston. And I cannot tell you, like the other day, this story is so funny. We were inside the airplane, and this guy is talking bad about Houston. And Rafi, my husband, was begging me, please don't say anything. Please don't say anything. Just let it go. I cannot even hold myself. I love Houston so much, and I owe this to Houston because you can grow here. You can build family here. It's an amazing city, and it's full of everything. 30 minutes away from the Gulf, 20 minutes from Conroe Lake. So many beautiful hiking area near Austin, and everything is in a very good distance.
So many
what else do you need?
Yeah, and a lot of economic excitement
For
and so many
sure.
economic drivers.
Yes, exactly.
Well, do you have people call to relocate and that sort of thing?
All the time. So many people are moving here from so many different states. We used to say California or Washington and New York, but now it's almost everywhere.
How do they find Kiani Realty, or how do they find you, Kiani?
So they usually find me through referrals or our Instagram because we are really big on that and we make really good contents. Most of them are very educational, which is Kiani Realty. My phone number is 832-276-9935. 832, I'm going to save you the time.
Go ahead.
832-276-9935.
Well, and as far as social media, one of the things that happens usually when you're on the show and I post your Facebook standalone segment, somehow you get a little bit more than a lot our normal average, like in the thousands. People check it out. So give us, real estate professionals and anyone else out there, a word on using Facebook. How do you get more views than maybe the other person?
So I really think that marketing, it's a very thin line between doing nothing and doing so much and being annoying. So you have to find that line, and always you have to make interesting content. And the main thing that we do, and I feel like people are interested to view our Facebook and Instagram, is that we add education to our content. It's not just taking a cute picture or sexy pictures and this is it. So we add value, and we know what we are talking about, so they can see that.
And you mentioned Austin and Dallas, right?
Yes.
So give us an idea of what's going on, because we have a feel for what's happening in Houston, but what about these other markets? Sometimes, quite frankly, Dallas is not that far away, but I don't really think about it. What's the market in Dallas like, and then what's the market in Austin in terms of real estate excitement?
So if I want to be honest, Houston is the best one, just
Out of
because
those three.
Out of those three. The main reason is because when Houston was growing during COVID, it was a growth very healthy and very reasonable. Austin and Dallas, they grow crazy. So like if Houston grow, let's say 30%, they grow 60%. So I want to say the presidential year, which was last year, kind of hit them, and the market slowed down a little bit, and the prices decreased.
In Dallas?
In Dallas and Austin.
In both?
Yes, but Houston didn't. It might flat in some areas, but it didn't decrease for sure.
As far as relocation, what would you say about Dallas? Are they having people move to Dallas? Because we hear people are moving, certainly here in Houston, but we hear people just move to Texas in general.
Yes.
What's happening there?
So the thing is that so many California people, they like to move to Austin. Beside the Tesla part, is just because it has hiking, it has lake, it has such a Cali vibe. But I guess it depends to the personality as well. And Dallas, it's a little bit more uptownish looking and more classy, so and better weather a little bit. But personally, I feel like Houston is the best, just because we are close to everything. Economy wise, we are booming. More companies are moving their headquarters here.
Other than the people that work in your brokerage, are you helping buyers and sellers personally as well?
Not anymore.
Not as much.
Like not as much, unless they tell me like I'm gonna completely take this transaction
Somewhere
away
else.
from you if you don't do it.
Unless I have Kiani help me. Yeah, I could see that.
I know. So that's the only way.
So then overall, which is I've never asked this question about a group of people, as in your broker or as in your agents, but are you seeing, as far as what their activity is it more buyers and sellers? Certainly depends on the agent.
It depends on an agent. Always, I used to say the new agents always get rentals, and then they move to being a buyer's agent, and then listing agent. And usually, even though the price is increasing as their experience increased. But I had agents who they had amazing connection. Their first transaction was over $2 million, and it was a listing. So I feel like it really depends to that agent's connection. But in general, usually that's the steps. Rentals, and then being a buyer's agent, and then getting listings.
And what about investing, Kiani? Are you still in the investing world? Because I remember, and this is going back to ancient history, but I believe you had rental properties that you would take your scooter and drive around and collect the rent checks. Am I remembering that right?
Yes.
And I'm still waiting for my scooter ride, but okay.
Anytime.
Do you still have the scooter?
Yes.
Is it
actually,
yellow?
we just did one reel, I want to say a couple weeks ago, and it's going to hit the Instagram and Facebook soon with one of my agents. It's still my favorite thing to do, but I don't use it that often just because I got too busy and I need to get to places faster.
Well, Kiani, before we close this segment, we're talking with Kiani Komezi with Kiani Realty. What else do you want people to know?
I just want to mention that investment is the best thing that you can do. Keep buying properties. 97% of people got rich through real estate. That's all you have to do. Just promise yourself that you can buy a property every year, at least.
And when should we buy?
Now.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. Kiani, let's tell people.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Let's tell people how to reach you.
They can reach me at kiani@kianirealty.com, or they can call or text at 832-276-9935.
One more time.
832-276-9935, and our Instagram is Kiani Realty.
Thanks, Kiani. Good to see you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage their risks. Here he is with Stewart Insurance, John Bramlett.
Hi, Bill. Always a pleasure.
Yes, indeed, John. Well, welcome to the show once again.
Thank you. I always enjoy being here, the highlight of my week.
And it's a way to start the week off as we record on a certain day. But how about these guests today?
Fantastic guests.
My goodness.
Really learned a lot, and both from just a traditional real estate perspective, but also from a mindset and attitude perspective.
It's always great to get a word on mindset because, quite frankly, there are ups and downs in life. We navigate through the week, through the year, and we need to be perked up at least I do.
No, it's helpful in that perspective of that every challenge is an opportunity and every opportunity has a solution.
Indeed it does. Well, here we are. It's the insurance segment. What do you want people to know today, John?
Well, it's not so much opportunity or challenge. It's going to be patience. Ooh. So, since 2022, our friends at the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Harris County Flood Control District have been promising new flood maps for Harris County. And they've been working on them together. And Harris County is one of the few counties where they're working directly with FEMA on the new flood maps. And they were supposed to be out 2022, and then it was going to be the beginning of this year. And now it looks like it's going to be the beginning of 2026. That there was a recent article that they've delayed it again. So we're still a bit in a lurch about how these new zones are going to be designated, and that some areas that maybe weren't rated as a probability of flooding might be higher. And the opposite could be true. That there could be areas that were designated that are higher risk zones that may be because of some changes in the area, maybe less so. But we're not going to know anything, at least initially, it looks like now, until 2026. And then there'll be a grace period once that's released in order for people to comment and say, I don't know if I agree with this designation or not. So it's just another delay. But it's just there's nothing that we can do about it. So just continue to have some patience. And then what that does, though, is, making sure that you've got a partner that you can work with from an insurance perspective that can help you at least determine what it looks like right now in that market. What is that zone designation? Are you in a 100-year floodplain? Are you in a 500-year floodplain? What is the zone designation? Let's see what we can do to find out about the history of that area. And between that and still working with the folks at the Harris County Flood Control District, because they are extremely helpful, at least you can kind of start to continue to get a feel for if an area is more likely or less likely to flood. It was just disappointing that it's going to be another year. I'd heard a presentation 6 weeks ago where a speaker who was very connected with both FEMA and the Harris County Flood Control District was very optimistic that we were looking at May or June, and now
it's here.
It's here, so we're now looking at maybe January or February of 2026.
This time of year, we think about storms, we think about flooding. I hate to even use the word because I've experienced flooding, don't like it, still think about it. I just was listening to an audio book, and they talked about hurricanes, the development of hurricanes, and I can't explain it well, but just to say this, I mean, there's studies that the hurricane starts somewhere off of West Africa, and there's a hurricane alley, and all that. Point is, everything around the world affects everything else, but this hurricane we might experience, or the flooding we might experience here, is part of a weather pattern that came from far away based on the temperature of the ocean at a given time and all these other climate factors. Crazy.
It is. I mean, water temperature in the Pacific will ultimately affect what's happening in the Atlantic, which will drive. That's why, I'm sure you heard in that book that one of the things that they're looking at this year is an increase. I think they're projecting right now something in the neighborhood of 17 named storms for 2025. Of that, there'd be 9 hurricanes, and of those 9 hurricanes, 4 could be severe, so over 111 miles an hour wind. So we're projecting a fairly significant hurricane season for the year, and it technically begins June 1st. So it's why we spent a little time on this segment the last several months talking about it, and then when I read about the delays in the weather map, or the flood maps and the changes in the designations, I wanted to share that with our listeners.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I'm thinking about some of the things that to prepare for hurricanes. We hear about a lot of things, but one of the ones that I need to do personally is you better make sure you trim your trees that are near the home because of winds. And I remember Hurricane Beryl. I remember watching those trees at 3 a.m. come pretty close to my house. Fortunately, it was okay, but so many things we have to prepare for and think about. That's why insurance is so important to be properly insured.
Well, there are, and there are a lot of the insurance companies out there have some really good lists and thoughts about things that you can do to prepare prior to hurricane season, both preparation for your home, but also preparation for the family.
And John, what are some of the other things we should be thinking about?
Well, I think it's critical that regardless of whether we've got yes, we would like to see the flood zone maps be more up to date. We still know that we're in a market where everybody is in a designated flood zone, and we know that we're in a market that some homes are more likely to flood and some homes are less likely to flood. And the fact that a home has not flooded historically does not mean it's not going to the next time we have a storm. So it is worth, if you don't currently have flood coverage, it is worth visiting with an insurance advisor to see what makes sense. And would it make sense to go through the National Flood Insurance Program? Would it make sense to go through private organizations? And if you do have flood coverage, does the flood coverage you have meet your current family's needs? And if it does, that's fantastic. And if it doesn't, then let's talk and see what we can do to adjust that.
And I bet there are people that don't know or forgot that there are other flood options. They can call Stewart Insurance other than the National Flood Program. There are,
I guess, correct.
Lack of a better word, third party, or what would you call
private companies.
Private
yeah,
companies.
So they're private companies that will offer flood coverage. They tend to be the insurance companies that have a greater appetite for risk, but they will provide broader coverage than what you might see from the National Flood Insurance Program. You can get similar coverages, but generally speaking, we see when somebody's with a private company, they tend to have a more expensive home, or maybe they have more expensive personal property. They need more things covered. Maybe it's important for them that they can have loss of use coverage. So if they did have to move out of the home while it was being repaired, that they could have some support in offsetting that temporary housing cost. And some of the private companies will offer that. So again, it really just depends upon what a family's needs are based upon, what their contents are like, the price of their home, all those types of things. So it's really just drives those decisions. So again, having that conversation will determine whether something from the National Flood Insurance Program makes more sense, or maybe a private policy makes more sense.
Higher dollar homes, $2 million, $10 million. It seems to me there's a lot of people that are collectors of various things. There might be a car collector. I know a friend of mine's husband has some massive car collection, and I think, hey, I'm worried about my house when the storm comes. What's this person thinking about when they have 30 classic cars of various types, watch collections, all these different things that people have. So we want to be properly insured, whatever our status is.
Well, it is. I mean, the premiums from the National Flood Insurance Program generally are more favorable, and that's a broad statement. But their liability limits for the structure itself don't exceed $250,000, and the liability limits for the personal contents don't exceed $100,000, and then specifically for valuables, they'll cover up to $2,500 total. So again, if you had somebody that had that watch collection or had a significant art collection, they might want to consider coverage from a private company because they potentially have the chance of getting broader coverage than what they're going to see from the National Flood Insurance Program.
Be prepared is the word, John.
Boy Scout motto.
And what else should we know?
Well, if you would like to be prepared and be properly insured, reach out to Stewart Insurance at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827. You can learn more about us at stewartinsurance.com or email us at stewartinsurance@stewart.com.
And let's say the phone number is in California?
866-798-2827.
What about for our friends in New York City, John?
866-798-2827.
John, thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
I say it all the time. Our business development people are all over Houston, Texas, and beyond. We have one with us today. She is from Pearland, Brittany Hernandez. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Hola, Bill.
Hola, as we record on Cinco de Mayo. So let's tell people, Pearland, you're helping real estate professionals in a tremendous way. You and the team, Tara Hobbs,
Yes,
etc.
of course, our expanding team that's over there in Pearland, the land of pears,
The land
serving
of
all
pears.
of Brazoria County, making things happen.
That's right. And I say be close to the Stewart business development person because you're doing things, continuing education. And what are some of the other things that you do?
We're doing a lot of fun stuff, but we're also doing education, like you said, CE hours. We have open house tours that we've actually started doing, which it's been going around. Morgan does it a lot at League City. All of our BDOs have actually started doing it as well. I held my first one. Christy was actually on that, and it was very successful for some of our agents over there. So we're just looking to get our agents out there, get their listings out there, bringing them to our Pearland office, of course, because we want to be able to help everybody.
So you're teaming up with real estate professionals in very creative ways and fun ways.
You have to. You got to be different. Everybody loves somebody that's different. Not all be the same.
And
Why
not
fit in when you were born to stand out?
Exactly. And not every title company, if any, has a radio show, do they, Brittany?
They don't. They don't. And they don't have a Bill. They don't have a Brittany.
And they don't have a B&B. There's no doubt about it. So let's tell people if they want to bring their real estate transaction right there to Pearland in your office, what
Yep.
should they do?
So they can call us at 281-412-6900. And I also started my own Instagram page as well, and it's called the Social Title Rep _B. Social Title Rep _B.
Brittany Hernandez, and your phone number, Brittany, is
281-412-6900. Stewart Title Pearland. 281-412-6900.
doing tremendous work. Brittany,
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for being with us. We welcome back Christy Baleres with Keller Williams Metropolitan. So, Christy, welcome back.
Thank you.
Been an interesting show, to say the least, and you've brought tremendous information. Let's tell us a little bit more about you, when we talked to you last about coaching.
So I've really had the opportunity to coach agents from all walks of real estate, from brand new licensees all the way up to multi-million-dollar producers. And the one thing that I've noticed throughout the years of being coached myself is a lot of times you have to fit into the coach's schedule, into what they want to coach you on that week. And I took a totally different approach and said a coach has to be everything to every person. And so I sit down with them and I do a very in-depth needs analysis. We continue to do needs analysis about once a quarter. I just love what I do. I love helping people, and that's really the core of it. I love seeing success in others.
And is there one thing, or what is the most common thing if someone needs help and they reach out to you, Christy Baleres? Is there one thing that you hear a lot where they say, I need help with this?
No, they all need something different, just to be honest. They really
that's not
do.
a recurring theme.
Right, because they all come from different walks of real estate. They all have different skill sets. They all have transferable skills from different careers they've come from. So it really takes a lot of, a coach can't just sit down and coach in the moment. A coach has to be prepared to coach.
And Christy, let's tell people how they can reach out to you, Christy Baleres.
ChristyBaleres.com or my cell phone, 281-685-5000. 281-685-5000.
Christy, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And now we welcome back Sahar Khatib with Keller Williams Southwest. What else should we know about what you're doing out there? So many fascinating things.
I think if I want to speak the last few words to you and everybody that's watching or hearing us, I would say don't let what happens in life take you away from the bigger goals. Life is always happening for us instead to us. If you think with that mindset, then you're going to always be strong and resilient for whatever life throws at you, because it's really throwing at you the things that you need to grow. So that's the last few words I would tell to anybody that's watching or hearing us.
And by the way, you mentioned the 3 continents.
Mm-hmm.
People can hear us in all 3 of those continents.
Amazing.
Through the internet, in fact, all over the world.
Amazing. I would love that I can, get some feedback from everybody that's watching us. And if I can help anyone on their journey, that will be something that I'm always motivated, is to influence others to improve their lives.
As far as sellers go, what is the most, so many things come into play, but what is some of the most important things a person that might be sitting there right now thinking, I'm going to sell my house, I'm going to talk to a realtor or whatever, what should they know the most?
I think they should first connect with somebody that knows what's happening currently in the market, because that professional is gonna be able to guide them in the process of selling their homes, than somebody that is just your neighbor or a friend or a cousin that does it once in a while, because that's always the stories that I hear. They come to me, we couldn't sell. So it's always finding out what's your goals and how we can get you to those goals with the least amount of hurdles possible.
Sahar Khatib, let's tell people how they can reach you.
So you can always reach me at 832-630-5020. Text or call. I'm always happy to help you. One more time, 832-630-5020.
And what if I'm in Northern California?
You can text me or call me anytime.
Sounds good. Sahar, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
As we close the show, Kiani Komezi with Kiani Realty. Kiani, we've said it a million times on it, but Kiani Realty, it just has a nice sound to it, doesn't it?
I agree with you.
No doubt about it. Well, as we close things down, what else do you want people to know?
I would like them to be consistent, be very disciplined, organized, buy investment. Actually, that's my thing that I always say. If you have one house, buy the second one. If you have the second one, buy the third one. And promise yourself to buy a property every year. And that's how you can grow your wealth.
That'd be a lot of properties.
Yes, and I can manage it for you.
So there's a way, because when we buy a home, there's a lot of responsibilities and things like that go with us. So when we get into the investor side of things, there are complications and things that's a whole nother 20 shows right there.
Yes, I agree, but I don't want to sugarcoat it. Of course, it has its own up and down, but to be honest with you, that's the best way.
Now, I don't know if you saw this movie or if the people listening have seen this movie, but when I think about if I were to rent my house, it's an old show called Pacific Heights with Michael Keaton.
I haven't.
He was the guy that rented the home from this young couple in Pacific Heights, which is San Francisco. They bought their home, and then they had an adjoining space, and they rented it out to Michael Keaton, and they wish they hadn't. That's all I'm going to say. You ought to watch that,
Yes,
Pacific
okay.
Heights.
Okay.
So, Kiani, let's tell people how they can reach you at Kiani Realty.
They can go to our website, KianiRealty.com, or Instagram, Kiani Realty. Actually, all of our social media is Kiani Realty. Phone number 832-276-9935. 832-276-9935.
Kiani, thanks for being with us. And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik, together with John Bramlett, and all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance. We appreciate you listening, and we hope to see you next week. Simply go to stewart.com/radio, where you can not only hear the show again and again, but you can see the YouTube video of these interesting guests that we have on each and every week.
This is Kaylee Wyatt, and thank you for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title.